But for me, I only understand about the render, you know. That's it.
Yeah, it's common. I searching about it, I saw that some companies used to not just render 3D images, all right, but to render videos, for example, companies that work with video
Yes.
makers or something like this.
Yes.
That's a good point that we can use it. And what about you, Victor? What do you think?
For me, I used to use Azure on my job. I was working as a data analyst, so I used the Azure to treat data and some web scraping too. And it's very nice because we can use all the power of a computer, a supercomputer, even in on my notebook that is not even i3, you know, it's Intel i3. I couldn't process big data, but I used the cloud to process that. And it's nice too because I had a small teaching program that I was teaching some kids how to program on Python, and you use the cloud to Google Colab to teach them how to program in Python.
Yeah, that's true. Here on my job, I used to this, right? For example, I've not have a so how can I say it? A computer with a so high configuration, so high setting, but I can do it, for example, things that demand a high processing capacity. We can use the cloud computer, all of the services are right, not just the Amazon as we see on the video, but we have others there as Google, for example, and that's true. That's one of the way that we use.
I don't know, but Azure it's a system of cloud computer.
Yeah, it's
Yes?
Azure is
Yes.
from Microsoft. It's the cloud of Microsoft.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, we have so different, right, platforms. And what about you, Janemis? What do you think? What is your understanding about cloud computing?
I work with the cloud computing a lot of times. Cloud computing is revolutionary in IT, but is no the new idea. Cloud computing is distributed computing is a old idea in 1917. The scientists study about distributed programmation. I like this. I love cloud compute because it's more easy deploy the application, distribute it to application is more easy, and you don't buy new computers. You don't have a lot of investments in hardware. Cloud computing is facilitated our life in this way.
Yeah. And about me, my understanding is like Jeremy said, we don't need to buy hardware at the beginning, all right? And it's so good to know that we have a company that can do this job for us, and it's good because we can deliver our system, for example, to around the world, and we can I don't know how to say it in English, but it's balancing. We can deliver our system to more people as demand. All right. So if you have more people accessing our system, we can deliver better experience to them. So it's one of the capacity of the cloud computing. But I think the most interesting thing is that we don't need to invest in hardware at the beginning when we are starting creating an application, for example. And that's one of the points about cloud computing. All right, we have a company that do it for us. All right, let's move on to the question number 2. So, Vitor, in your opinion, what are the biggest advantage of utilizing cloud computing?
As I said, I think the point of using more power to develop things and process data, it's the biggest thing, because we can, as happening these days, we have the video games that is very powerful, like a PS5 or Xbox, and Microsoft has a cloud for a video game. You can pay, and you don't have to has a console, so you can process powerful games and hard games, hard graphics games, and you don't have to has a powerful setup on your machine, and it can be very helpful.
Yeah, I have experienced using this kind of application. It's about the xCloud from Microsoft, and we just pay monthly, all right, and we can play the video games. We don't need to download. That's so interesting. It's like to play a video, and you can play the video game as in a console, all right. Of course, the experience sometimes it's not exactly like the real video game, the console, but because it sometimes frozen, right? Because the internet, but for people don't want to buy a console, I think it's a great experience. And what about you, Jeremies? What is the biggest advantage of utilizing cloud computing?
Okay, by customer, I think the price and the availability is more is a great deal for the software developer. The advantage is more hardware, infrastructure, and the how can I say, disponibilidade.
Availability.
Yeah, a palavra não era essa. Esqueci até em português a palavra. Mas beleza.
Yes. In my opinion, I think it's that we can pay as we use, all right? So we don't need to buy to build a data center, and we will not use all of it. So to pay as we use, I think it's one of the biggest advantages of utilizing not Google, but cloud computing. And what about you, Robert?
The biggest advantage is you can manage a lot of data quickly. For example, in the pandemic, maybe it's a main example today. You can use it, this to help the scientists, maybe, I don't know. That's it.
Yeah. Yes. So, all right, let's move on to the question number 3. So, Janemis, are there any concerns you have about data security and privacy when it comes to storing information in cloud?
I think the principal advantage is availability and security. I don't worry about security. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud is very security, and it is a great point. And the more services I don't implement in my application. Of, for example, streams. I don't need to work with streams. AWS resolved the problem for me. Azure, Google Cloud, security, PubSub, and more technical subjects.
Yes. And I think when we are talking about the physical structure, all right, I think it's one of the points that it's more secure. You have your informations in a cloud computing than data center, instead of in your own data center in your company, right? Because when you're talking about the physical location, I think it's one of the good points about the cloud computing, because probably it's safer, the cloud computing location, if you compare with the data center of your company. And I think we have the most all things about the security that you can have in your own data center in your company. For example, you probably can implement it on a data center in the cloud. So about technology, that's not a problem. And I think, of course, if you consider the price, probably you will just spend the money that you about the quantity of things that you use. And sometimes when you are talking about the your own data center, will probably spend more to make it security than you really need. So these 3 points, I think it's the that I think about the security. And what about you, Robert?
It's crazy, man. I have 49. I remember my life without these concerns, you know. But I don't have a problem, because I know when I'm here talk with you and the other guys, other persons are working hard to care my data. I think like this. That's it.
Yeah, that's true. We have several people working
Yes.
to control our data.
Yes.
And what about you, Victor? What do you think?
I think it's very secure, as you and Janem said. There is a lot of people working on it, and it's safer than our own data center. And I think the biggest concern is the human that are managing the account of the cloud. You know, he can open doors to any other by just with a command line. You can open doors and make things get really worse. So I think it's very secure, but we have to train better or cloud managers, you know, because I see this happening a lot, because the hackers are always trying different ways to get your credentials, your computer, access to your computer. So we have to be careful on it.
Yeah, we usually say that we have two responsibilities, right? The responsibility of the enterprise that manage the data centers, and the responsibility of the people that control the account of you entering in the data center to manage the security. So these kind of two responsibilities, it's one of the points about the cloud computing. All right, let's move on to the question number 4. So how has cloud computing influenced? Oh, it's not showing for me. All right. How has cloud computing influenced the way software and applications are developed and delivered to users? I will start answering this. I think the way that it's developed, maybe it's not right now. You can develop some applications without a server, all right, like functions serverless. So it's one of the points that can change some points that we don't need exactly to set up a data center or a server. So I think it's one of the ways that the cloud computing influenced the software development. And to deliver to the users, we can deliver software to just a few users, but we can I don't know how can I say it, but it's escalabilidade. We can turn our software to deliver to more people if more people come to use our application. So I think it's one of the good points that about the cloud computing when you are talking to delivery the software to the users. And what about you, Robert? What do you think?
I don't understand much about data or but I think you can different groups can manage same data, but using different strategies. You can do this. I don't know. For example, I don't know. It's a personal question, maybe, but I think you can or not using cloud computing.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but I think maybe it's depend of the platform, right?
Yes, and of course, and talk about software. I use, for example, I use Unreal. It's an engine for game, you know, and using Unreal, I know exists a lot of developers around the world working to grow up this software, you know, together, you know. Blender, it's a open source software, you know. A lot of people is working in this software together, and you can use cloud computing to test the render and the manipulation of all tools in the software, maybe.
Yeah, because if you don't use the cloud computing, the setting of your machine needs to be so great, right?
Yes,
when you
and
use
of course,
computing.
today you have RTX video board, you know, to calculate some things in the 3D, you know. But when you programming, and you work with code and with a team, is different, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it.
And what about you, Victor? What do you think? How has cloud computing influenced the way software and applications are developed and delivered to users?
I think the biggest influence is the small companies, because in the past times they have a software that was everything on one machine, and sometimes like they don't have they only have one database, so they have to work on just one computer. So now they can have many computers working with the one single database, then sharing data, and it's very useful for them, because like I work in a company and you work another in the same company, we can share the same database, and it's very easier now because we can just get a database up on cloud computing. So it's very useful, and it's more how can I say, cheap, you know. It's more cheap because but because before we have to develop all the software for a single company. Now they are trying to develop more generic software that can be adapted to every company, different ecosystems and something like that.
Yeah, to read the software as service, right? The SaaS.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
That's great for the company, that because they can focus to maintaining just one product, all right? But with so large number of clients, for example.
Yeah.
And what about you, Janemis? What do you think?
Uh, I think the delivery speed is higher because we have um, several environments accessible quickly. Uh, uh, the environment for test, homologation, production. In addition, uh, we have many features such as scalability, availability, and any other. For the clients, the customers and can even share resources and work together. For example, one document in the drive, Google Drive, is shared, and a lot of people's working in the same document. It's a great tool.
All right. So everybody have answered this question, all right? So let's move on to the question number 5. So, Robert, how do you think cloud computing is contributing to a more sustainable IT environment?
IT environments, maybe don't you only IT. Cloud computer, you can, for example, control all things about health, you know, maybe. I am I think in the future, my kids gonna live with much more security about the new, how can I say, doenças? I don't know.
Disease.
Disease.
New, what?
Disease.
This. Thanks.
Yeah, it's like disease.
Problem. Much more security about the security in your city, you know, and the traffic and a lot of different subjects. I maybe of course it's my opinion. I don't understand all subjects in subjects in cloud computing, but I think this is possible in the future, you know.
Yes. And what about you, Victor? What do you think?
When I think about sustainability, I think more about the hardware that was thrown up in the past days, that there was nobody to care of it, and try to recycle this and try to get it to a new hardwares, you know. And like Amazon, GCP, like Google Cloud and Azure, they have this concern. They try to recycle everything that they are throwing up, and try to make it a new item, you know, for their own data centers. So I think more about this, because there is not so many data centers as before, and they are not spending a lot of resources.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's one of the points that it's contributing to the sustainable IT environment. The other is that the companies don't spend a so high money, all right? So they can spend less money that if the company should buy the hardware. So that's one of the good points for the companies. And because another contribution, I think, is that the teams can focus just to programming, all right? And don't need to set up a data center in the company, for example, or something like this. So the developers can focus to develop the software, and that, I think, contributes to a sustainable IT environment. And what about you, Janemis?
Question is uh, I you don't know, but I believe cloud computing reduces the numbers of data centers. It's good, but the clouds pollute a lot. Some time ago, I read that doing a Google search, a simple search in Google, generated the same energy for how can I say, fazer uma garrafa de chá. I don't know. I don't know speak this sentence in English, but imagine billion people searching Google for minutes, for hours. It's a big problem. Google bought Iceland for data center. It's not good, because pollute a lot in the environment, the animals, the fauna and flora is compromised with the data centers. Google and Facebook want both the space in Antarctica, because it's cold, and help with resfriamento data center. but is only possible because OMS, OMS don't não deixou alguma coisa do tipo assim. It's very very preocupante.
Yeah, I've never searched, to be honest, I never searched about this, but I think it's a good, important information, and I will search more about, for example, as you said, yeah, it's like a research in Google, you spend more energy than to prepare tea, for example. That's a good point, and I never heard this before. But all right, let's move on to the question number 6. So, Janemis, how often do you use cloud-based services in your daily life, even without realizing it? You are muted for me.
Oh, so
All right, yes, you are muted.
yeah, agora.
All right, now I can hear
Okay.
you.
The name, the all of time, o tempo todo. Because my smartphone, I use a lot of apps based in services in, in AWS, Google Cloud, my calendar, my schedule. I all time I use this application in my work, in my smartphone, in my television, all time.
Yeah, that's true. I think right now it's hard to find a service, a software that is not cloud-based, right? Because the most of things that we use, it's applications that we uh, need to download, use the internet to access it. We put our data, and this data is sent to a data center. So right now, every day, every hour, we are using the cloud-based services, and it's hard to find one service that is not cloud-based right now. And what about you, Howard? What do you think?
It's impossible to avoid use the cloud. I use Google Drive, you know. I use Netflix. I use I use my PS4. It's impossible today, but I repeat, I remember, man, my first time with a computer using WordStar, Lotus 1, 2, 3, and it's very, very crazy. And today I work with some jobs in metaverso, with NFT. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yes. And what about you, Victor? What do you think?
As Janim says, all the time, I use for working and for in the spare time, like searching for some musics to play on the guitar and something like that, watching videos to ride skateboard. And I use for my work, I use a different cloud that's called Zoho. It's a cheaper cloud, and I used to deploy some jobs there, because for the clients, small clients, is better and it's easier to maintain. And there's a lot of features that they can see and manage their own applications. And so it's from the time that I wake up to I lay on my bed, I was playing on the cell phone. It's all the cloud computing.
Yes. All right, let's move on to the question number 7. So how do you think cloud computing has affected the way we consume entertainment, such as music, movies, and games? The best thing I think is that we don't need to rent, all right, to go to a rental store to rent a movie, for example, as in the past. So we have so different streaming services to music, to movies, and right now to games, as we said about the xCloud from Microsoft, for example, that we can pay and play a video game in the cloud, and we don't need to have the console, just the internet access and the computer. So I think the cloud computing totally affects the way we consume entertainment. Because we have access to all things all the time, all right? Sometimes free on the internet, sometimes we pay to the services to provide this content to us. But the access to these informations, I think it's the biggest impact of the cloud computing. And what about you, Janemis? What do you think?
It's uh, change all because uh, when when uh, when we as a child we como é que fala? Assistir
Watch?
watch the Globo Bandeirantes, Manchete. And today, my kids can choose the time and the episode. It's fantastic, and in my time for a child, I I can waiting day for one episode, and today we can watching a lot of episodes, and the television it's not tá difícil que eu tô esquecendo até em português, cara. Para pensar em inglês tá mais difícil ainda. Mas a televisão não tem mais aquele papel tão ativo quanto antes, né? Não. The channels of YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, our formation opinion. It's good, but it's bad because we have today a lot of fake news, for example, because the advanced the social medias, for example.
Yeah. So the cloud computing contribute a lot with the streaming services, right? Because in the past it was unbelievable, and right now we have so different options to subscribe and consume this kind of entertainment. And what about you, Victor? What do you think?
I agree with the names. I think the television, before they told us what we could watch, we must wait for Monday late night to see a movie, and we couldn't choose what movie to watch. And like it's very interesting because we used to rent movies on the like blockbusters, and we rent on Friday to return on Monday, and it's very different because now we can watch in less than, I think, 10 seconds we can start watching some movie that we want. So it's very different from the ways that we do in the past.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what about you, Robert? What do you think?
I remember when Netflix broke Blockbuster. It's so sad because I have special moments in the Blockbuster, but you can use your cell phone to watch video, talk with your family, the other sites, seats, you can listen music. It's easy, but I agree with Jimenez. Fake news is very dangerous, because in Brazil we have a problem with this, and you need to hard rules to control some platforms, but that's it. I love technology.
All right. So let's move on to the question number 8. So imagine a world without cloud computing. How do you think your daily routine and activities would be different, Victor?
I think that we wouldn't be so different because the servers and the data centers would exist in any way. So I think this just would be more slowly to have the things to happen, but it wouldn't change a lot.
Yeah, I think probably right now a so quantity of service that we have access probably we haven't, because we have the most of the services is based on cloud computing. Maybe if you have access, it's slowly, as you said. I think that's it. The most impact, I think, it's about the quantity of availability of these services, because the most of them it's based on cloud, and it's hard today to find a software that don't use a cloud, right? So that's one of the changes. So I use different apps in my daily. The most of them is based on cloud, and probably without these apps, my daily routine will so difficult, different, and probably more hard. And what about you, Robert? What do you think?
And imagine your life without email only, and without WhatsApp or the other software to message.
Video calls
Yes,
softwares.
yes. It's very funny when you imagine this. I don't know, crazy probably. To me and you and the other friends, when you work together in the product, I work, and today I was working with 3D together with my friend. My friend live in Sorocaba. I live in Praia Grande, for example. It's simple example. Imagine when you work with 15 persons in the part of a big software, for example. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, right? It's hard to imagine.
Yes.
And what about you, Jeremis? What do you think?
It's the question 80, right?
Yeah, imagine a world without cloud computing, how it will affect you.
It's hard. um, uh, um, I can't imagine this world because distributed computer, it's a old idea. Talvez não existisse big clouds como hoje, né? But the concept exists and the different contexts. But the cloud in the cloud today, it's a major hoje tá difícil. Mas é grande, as clouds hoje, elas são grande benefício na computação, né? No nosso dia a dia. Impacta muito.
Yes. So, guys, unfortunately, we haven't more time to keep in answering the questions. But before we end, I will share with you a survey link. And here you can share if you like or dislike this topic, how was experience. For me, I really appreciate to talk about cloud computing with all of you. And you can share your experience here if you like or dislike about it. All right. That's it. It was so good to talk about cloud computing with all of you. So have a nice night, nice weekend. And that's it, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Valeu.
Bye.